Hi, all, and welcome to this CineCircle crowdfunding masterclass. I hope you're all doing well. First thing is first, could you all give me a quick yes or thumbs up in the comments if you can hear me okay, if you can see me okay, just to make sure that everything is working? That would be fantastic. Just before we get started, very quickly, this can be as interactive as you guys would like. Please feel free to ask any questions you might have throughout the training in the chat. And also feel free to network with each other. I am going to save some time towards the end for a Q&A as well, but I might try and answer some of your questions throughout the masterclass as well. So let's get right into it. Today is going to be roughly a sort of 40-minute training on crowdfunding. So why are we here today? Well, we're here because we want to learn this alternative film funding method, which can be absolutely fantastic if you can't find private investors for your film, if you're trying to do a film that doesn't traditionally make money, therefore it's harder to raise finances for it, such as a short film, a proof of concept. So crowdfunding can be really, really great for a lot of different reasons. But, and this is why today we're going to learn the 3 essential strategies to getting your film funded. These are the 3 key strategies, and there are many different ones, but these are 3 key strategies that I have found to be the most useful for filmmakers who are looking to crowdfund. But please tell me if any of this sounds familiar. You want to crowdfund, but you don't know how to find more than 10 or 15 backers. You might have family members and a group of friends who might support your campaign, but you have absolutely no idea how to go beyond that. You might want to crowdfund, but you just don't want to ruin your reputation. You don't want to come across as annoying, as needy, as someone who's constantly just asking for money from everyone. Or perhaps you want to crowdfund, but you just have absolutely no idea how it works or where to start. If any of those sound familiar, then you're in the right place. Today, we're going to be discussing some of the key strategies to overcome some of those reasons why people tend to not crowdfund and how to have a successful crowdfunding campaign. So I'm going to start off with telling you guys a little bit about me. It's actually the story of how I got into all of this, because I studied film and television production. I left university and, I went straight into freelancing. I've always wanted to be a producer since I was about 12 years old. So I figured, how hard can it be? And I was, trying to make some short films, trying to work on some commercial projects, really work myself up, and get to a place where people are paying me a lot of money to try and produce. But that didn't quite happen, because I've realized there was a huge amount of information that was missing. I've realized that in order to make a film, there's so many courses out there that are teaching you, how about cinematography, about acting, about how to make a great film. But there are very, very few useful resources that are teaching you the business side of the industry. How does the business side of the industry work? And how can I turn what is a hobby into an actual viable business or a career? I've realized that there was so little information on there on this topic. And this is why I decided to find CineCircle. I created CineCircle out of that need. And I've really turned it into a place, a sort of go-to place for filmmakers who are looking to learn the business side of the industry, mainly in how to find funding, how to find distribution, and how to develop their career. And the truth is, that was my why. It came from my own need, because I've realized as a filmmaker, that's the reason why I couldn't become a great producer, is because I didn't have that information. And every single venture, every single startup, and every single film crowdfunding campaign starts with a why. And you need to have a strong why in order to have a successful crowdfunding campaign. And that is called an origin story. If any of you have ever studied business or marketing or PR, you might have learned about the origin story. But it is essentially the story of why you are embarking on this journey, why you are creating this project, or in this specific case, why you are launching a film crowdfunding campaign. And this is absolutely crucial, because this is what's going to make a really, really great pitch. And that is the first strategy. The first strategy to having a really successful crowdfunding campaign that doesn't ruin your reputation, that doesn't make you sound like you're just begging everyone for money for this short film that you are trying to make, is creating a really, really great pitch. This is what's going to set you apart from other crowdfunding campaigns. And the key thing that you guys need to remember when putting together your pitch is that people don't support films. They support other people. And this is true when you're trying to find private investors for your film. This is true when you're applying for film funds. This is also and particularly true for crowdfunding. People very, very, very rarely just support a crowdfunding campaign. They want to support the people behind the crowdfunding campaign. I am almost certain that if any of you have ever supported a crowdfunding campaign, it was for two reasons. Either you knew the people who were making that film for the crowdfunding campaign, or you saw a video of the people, or a video of the team that really made you feel like you knew them, which made you want to support that team. But it's very, very rare that people will find just a film, a faceless project that they want to support. So remember this, people don't support films, they support other people behind those films. And therefore, your pitch is essentially going to be the story of why you're making this film and why you need support. That is the key to having a really, really successful pitch. And I'm going to give you guys an example over here. So I once worked on a short film that we were putting together, and we ended up raising £30,000 through crowdfunding for that film. But it didn't start off very successfully. At the very, very start, months and months before we even launched the crowdfunding campaign, we were trying to pitch the film, and no one was interested. People weren't really interested to come on board and work on our project. They definitely weren't interested in opening up their wallets and actually giving us any money. So we literally started off with pitching the film, which was a film about mental health. It was a film showing people that small acts of kindness have a massive impact on people's on our well-being in the society. That small act of kindness can even save a life. So we were really trying to show this, this really, really strong mental health message. And we were telling people that there aren't enough films being made about mental health, that, that we're really going to have this super powerful message and the themes and the characters. And nobody cared because it just sounded like anything else. Nobody cared. And then we realized we needed to tell the story of why we were really making that film. And you guys will probably have seen this if you've ever went to a networking event, if you've ever spoken to a new person, that real stories are so much more impactful than ones that somebody made up. When someone tells you that a story is real, you right away start to think it's more dramatic, it's funnier. It's just there's something about the fact that it's real that makes you think, makes you curious, makes you more sort of drawn to that story. And that's why the story of why you want to make the film, it can be so powerful because it's real, because that's true story. So here was the pitch that we used. And this was, again, just the story of why we wanted to make this film. And I am going to give a bit of a trigger warning because there are themes of suicide in this pitch. So if anyone is uncomfortable with that, you can mute yourself for the next 1 minute or so. So the pitch was this. One day, someone who was very close to me, who was really, really struggling with mental health issues, was going through a really, really dark time. She decided that she was going to take her life one day. And she went into work knowing that this was going to be her last day. She sat at her desk, completely lifeless. She already had the plan of what she was going to do when she comes back home. But then something happened. One of her coworkers made her a cup of tea, came up to her desk, sat down next to her, and asked her, "How are you?" Really asked her how she was. And that tiny act of kindness literally saved her life that day. because she started spiraling with positive thoughts that people actually care about her, that people would miss her if she was gone, that if she decided to stay, people would be here to support her. That small gesture of making her a cup of tea and asking how she is the reason why she's still here today. And a couple of weeks after that happened, she was brave enough to come to me and tell me that this is what happened. And at that point, I realized two very important things. The first one is that life is so fragile. And the second one is that kindness is powerful. And at that point, I realized we need to make a film about this. We need to make a film to show how the tiniest small acts of kindness can literally save a life and can improve our well-being in the society so much. That was our pitch. We told people from a genuine place why we were making that film, why it was important, and why we cared about it. And at the end of that, we could then go into telling people more about the film, depending on, if we were trying to pitch for a crew, or telling people that this is not the type of short film that normally gets funded through any kind of funds or private investment, which is why we're crowdfunding and we need their support. And that worked really, really well for us. And it was because it was a real story. It was because it was genuine, and it, really, really worked. And the great thing about this format of a pitch is that it can work with family, it can work with friends, it can work with complete strangers that you meet at a networking event, or that even that you send a message to online, because it's genuine and therefore it works everywhere. It's universal. So there's a lot of different trainings that we do around this pitching, but just have a think about what is that real story that you can tell that's really, really genuine about why you are trying to make this film. That is going to be the key. That is going to be your hook and your pitch in every single format of your campaign. Next, your personal network. As I mentioned, people support the people behind crowdfunding campaigns rather than just faceless films. Because of that, naturally, your personal network is going to play a big part in your crowdfunding campaign. So you want to reach out to your whole network in a way that's as personal as possible. So you don't want to spam all of your family, all of your friends. You want to reach out to them in a way that's personal. And again, there are a lot of different trainings around the best ways to do that, template messages, things like that. But I'm just going to give you guys a taster, just one specific example of how you can scale personal outreach. Because the problem with this sort of personal outreach is that it takes a huge amount of time and effort and mental energy and frustration, which is why most filmmakers don't do it. Most filmmakers will launch a film crowdfunding campaign. They will reach out to their 20, maybe 30 closest family and friends, and they will ask them to support the campaign. From those, a couple of people will support it, and then the campaign will get stuck on a couple £100 or dollars. Does that sound familiar? Most campaigns end exactly like that. And it's because they don't quite know how to scale personal outreach. So here is one tip for doing that, okay? The day that you launch your crowdfunding campaign, your first day, is the most important day. For most filmmakers, I can tell on the first day, whether that campaign is going to be successful or not. After the first 24 hours, it already becomes quite obvious. And therefore, in that first 24 hours, you need to try and get as many backers as humanly possible. Normally about 10 to 15% of your overall target needs to be raised in the first 24 hours. So what you really want to do in an ideal world is, say you're launching, and by the way, the best time to launch a film crowdfunding campaign is on a Tuesday at 11 a.m. That's just genuinely, statistically speaking, the best time. So what you really want to do is at 11 a.m., you want to send a personal message, really personal message, to basically everyone in your entire network. So how do you do that? All roughly at 11 a.m. And the best way to do that, and by the way, you are going to be, on the day that you launch your crowdfunding campaign, you're going to be incredibly stressed. You're going to have a million different things to worry about. So you don't want to have to be thinking about, how do I write a message to this person? How do I write a message so that, I don't seem super needy or desperate and so on. And the best way to do that is cool-headed a month before you launch your crowdfunding campaign. So in the month leading up to your campaign, what you can do is you can draft messages to everyone in your network. And there's, again, various different ways of, of finding all of those people and email addresses and so on. But writing an actual personal message saying, hey, Simon, it's been 6 months since I saw you at the last networking event. I'm wondering how work is going. Have you had any, big acting jobs? By the way, I've just launched a film crowdfunding campaign. I would love for you to take a look and consider supporting it. By the way, I think you will really, really love reward number 4. I think that one will, will be really, really great for you. So check it out and let me know what you think. That message, you need to properly write it. You can't just send a mass message to 1,000 people. But what you can do is you can literally go on your Gmail, write those hundreds of messages, even 2 months. I did this like 2 months before my campaign when we were trying to raise £30,000. And then you can just close that email and save it in your drafts folder. So that at 11 a.m., when you launch your campaign, on the day of your launch, you can just click send, 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 and send hundreds of emails, highly, highly personalized emails in a matter of minutes. You can even schedule those emails, right, to go out on Gmail rather than closing it. You can schedule those emails to all go out at 11 a.m. On the day of your crowdfunding campaign. So that is just one out of many, many different ways that you can scale a personal outreach that will never feel like spam, because it's genuine, it's personal. They know you couldn't have sent that same email to everyone else, and they will feel it. They will feel that you wrote them that personal email. And what people absolutely hate with crowdfunding is when they get the same automated copy-pasted email that everyone else got. That's quite annoying. But a real personal outreach is not. Okay, next, expand your personal network, right? So again, there are many, many different strategies. You might think to yourself, I literally don't know anyone who has any money. I might have a couple of friends who support my crowdfunding campaign, but I just don't know anyone else. And that's fine. You can expand your personal network, right? And there are lots of different ways of doing this. Again, whether it's high-level networking, or whether it's going to different events, whether it's finding people online, helping them in exchange for them helping you. There's tons of different ways that you can expand your personal network, and you should be doing this whether you're crowdfunding or not. But for a film crowdfunding campaign, I found that nothing is more, better and more scalable than building a core team. Building a team of people who are just as passionate about the project as you are, and who will help you promote that project. So how do you build a team that's both motivated and excited to promote your campaign, right? And again, there's many different ways of doing this, but there's one that I absolutely really love. And one of those strategies is finding associate producers. So this is actually what I did for my crowdfunding campaign where I raised £30,000, is I had about 15 associate producers. And essentially, this is how I got in touch with them. I got in touch with people who are quite new in the industry, people who are looking for experience, people who want to learn crowdfunding, people who are really excited about the prospect of learning crowdfunding, having a successful campaign that they can add as part of their producing portfolio, and then also making a really, really great film through that crowdfunding campaign. Because the crowdfunding campaign can be used as almost a marketing launchpad for the film itself, that means the film could have more reach as well, which again gives them a really, really great credit and really great experience. So this is essentially what I do. I find a lot of people who are interested in learning about crowdfunding and learning about filmmaking, and I offer them that experience in exchange for coming on board the crowdfunding campaign and making it a success along with us. And that way, rather than me having to raise £30,000, when I had these 15 associate producers who were all, really, really motivated and excited to make the film, each one of us needed to raise £2,000. And that suddenly becomes a lot more doable. You then can add on, cast and crew who are a part of the project, who are really excited about it, and so on. But this is just one of the many ways that you can find people for your project and to build that core team. Next, turning strangers into backers. So this is one question that we always get. Okay, I get it. Family and friends, they're important. They're a first step. But, I'm not going to be able to build my crowdfunding campaign and raising 20, 30, 40,000 pounds from my family and friends. My family and friends might give 1,000, maybe 2,000 between all of them. But, how do I get the rest? How do I get strangers to back my campaign? And especially if you are looking to raise over 15,000 pounds, you're going to need to start thinking about some of these strategies. And the key one over here is turning traffic, and traffic, we mean the people who come on customers rather than backers. So what we're talking about over here is backers tends to be almost synonymous with donors. These are people who are giving you money for your crowdfunding campaign. These are people who know you. They really want to support you. And because of that, they are giving you the money for the film. And to be honest, whether the rewards were there or not, they would probably support your crowdfunding campaign. And for anyone who's completely new to crowdfunding, if you're crowdfunding on platforms such as Indiegogo, Kickstarter, and so on, essentially for backing a campaign, for supporting a campaign, you can get a certain rewards. And the rewards are set by the project creator, which would be you in this case. So, you might have £10, you will get a link to the film, £100, you will get an invite to the premiere, and so on, and so on, and so on. So these are those rewards. And as I mentioned, backers, sort of like donors, are people who would probably give you the money whether you have rewards there or not. But strangers won't just give you money for your film. You can make strangers feel like they know you through videos and social media and so on. But what about complete strangers who come across your crowdfunding page or who haven't had the chance to know you? How do you turn them into people who want to give you your money? And the key over here is essentially turning them into customers rather than backers. And what I mean by that is those people need to want to buy your rewards. They are the people who will care about your rewards more than they do about your campaign itself, right? That is sort of the absolute key over here. Sorry, guys, if you just give me one moment. Okay. So just going back to it. So how do you do that? How do you create irresistible rewards that people want? And there needs to be essentially things that people actually really want and would buy. So this is where actually building a core team is also invaluable. Because what it means is that you suddenly have a larger pool of resources that you can allocate in order to get these rewards together. I coached on a crowdfunding campaign about a year ago where they raised £20,000, and they did so basically selling rewards. So what they did was they actually had someone on the team who was a headshot photographer, someone on the team who did show reels for people, and so on. And they essentially put together rewards that people really wanted, such as headshot photography sessions. We will put together a show reel for you for £400. We will do your headshots. We will give you a small speaking part in the film. We will give you an experience to be a runner on the film, and we will give you, say, an associate producer credit, and we will give you an experience of being on the film, which is something that, for example, parents always buy for their kids sometimes, to give them that first experience on the film. For the experience on set rewards, you need to have a pretty sizable target, because you need to have proof that your film is going to be valuable enough for the people. So if you're making a £2,000 short film, being on that set might not be a very valuable experience. On the other hand, if you're raising 20,000, it could be very, very valuable for people. So have a think about what you could offer that people would really want. Another example of this is for a 50 or £100 reward to have a mystery bag, or a sort of a mystery bag, which is essentially, there are various different rewards, and it's going to, you will basically give your money for this reward, and you will get one of the different rewards. And one of them could be something that's quite expensive, say a pair of headphones, etc. The other ones could be a lot less expensive. And that way, people will buy it going, I really hope I get that top reward, that top prize from that mystery bag. But for you, it's not going to be super expensive, because that's just one out of probably, say 100 people who will get that reward. So that's just another way of, giving people something that they really, really want, without breaking the bank, or you really going, really deep into your own pockets. So that's another, that's another example of how you can turn traffic into customers. And the key over here that I want to reiterate is that crowdfunding can be really, really powerful. It can help you fund your film when no one else does. When you are trying to crowdfund your film, when you're trying to fund your film and all the different film funds are turning you away, you can't find private investors. Crowdfunding is a way for you to really put matters into your own hands and fund the film yourself. It can help you fund a proof of concept that will get turned into a feature. It can help you build a loyal audience for your film as well. So if you are looking to, build a loyal audience for your own production company, for example, and you want to have a production company with a name that's recognizable, with people who will always go and watch your film on Amazon or wherever you promote it online, crowdfunding is a great way to build that loyal audience for your film. It can also help you find further funding. You have no idea how many times people have raised, even people that I've coached have raised £5,000 or £10,000, and through that they have found what are called super backers, who then later went on to give them another £5,000 or £10,000 each for their film. And by the way, super backers, the holy grail of crowdfunding campaign, are essentially serial backers. There's people who go on Kickstarter, who go on Indiegogo every single day, and they support a bunch of different campaigns, including film campaigns. They're usually really, really high net worth individuals, and they just like to support, new ventures and creative art forms. Those people can turn into private investors, especially if you create, for example, a great proof of concept film through your crowdfunding, then turning that into a feature film. You have all of their contacts, you have all of their email addresses, and if you keep up good relationships with them, it's happened many times that they've gone on to invest in the features. But you can only do that if you have a successful campaign. And this is where most filmmakers fail. Most filmmakers fail because they don't have the proper tools. They don't quite know how to pitch, which you now know. They don't know how to expand their personal network. And they also don't really understand the concept of how to turn strangers into backers. And they end up, spamming just all the different Facebook groups. And when you're crowdfunding, if you find that at any point you are spamming people, you're doing it wrong. If at any point you find that you are feeling really, really nervous and uncomfortable because you feel like you're begging people for money, you're doing it wrong. And there's just a lot of different places where filmmakers fail. So I am going to answer some of you guys' questions. I know there's some that have already come up about the different crowdfunding platforms. I'm going to answer all of your questions in a moment, and please feel free to ask more questions in the chat. But as those questions come in, do you mind if I share something with you guys if you do need more support? Because we've put something together that we think can really, really help you as well. And we essentially put together really, really affordable coaching packages for filmmakers who are serious about crowdfunding. And they're specifically designed for independent filmmakers. We know indie filmmakers don't have the thousands or even tens of thousands of pounds that most, agencies will charge for, helping them with their crowdfunding campaign. We designed this specifically for indie filmmakers. And in this coaching, we help you with your overall strategy. We help you put together a proper marketing plan that works for your specific project. We help you build your team. We help you build that team of people who will help you market that film. And we can help you create a really, really highly converting campaign page. And there is a lot more as well. As an example, we actually offer you certain rewards from CineCircle that you can sell as rewards during your campaign, and you can keep 100% of those sales. So we literally give you digital products that you can sell that we already know people are buying from us every day. So if you promote them right, people will buy them from you through your crowdfunding campaign. And we also know that as a producer, crowdfunding can be really, really stressful, isolating, and confusing. And this is why when we take on our coaching clients, we're really there every step of the way to make sure that you don't feel like that. So if you guys are interested in exploring this, you can schedule a 30-minute consultation with us by scanning this QR code. I'm also going to put it right here in the chat right now, a link to schedule a call with us. And this call is going to be to discuss your strategy and also to see if one of our coaching packages could be a right fit for you. And our promise for these calls, by the way, is that there's no hard sell. We don't ask you on the call if you are happy to go ahead. We will just give you all the information. We will help you with some of the strategy. We will give you all the information about our coaching packages. And then we'll send you a PDF over email so that you can, take a look at that, discuss it with your team, and see if it's right for you. We will literally not give you an option to buy on that call. So don't worry, it's not going to be any hard selling on that call. And just one other thing, which is that we do quite a lot of different things with CineCircle, and we only take on 5 new clients each month. We've already taken on 3 this month. So if you are interested, we'd recommend booking a call today. You can book it for next week or whenever it's convenient for you guys. But we would recommend booking that call if you guys are interested. So I'm going to leave that over here, and I'm just going to get to some of your questions because I see that there has been some. So the first question was, what is the best website for crowdsourcing or crowdfunding campaign? Kickstarter or, well, Kickstarter is the big one. Kickstarter is definitely my favorite one. There is one thing that sets Kickstarter apart from nearly all other crowdfunding platforms, and that is that Kickstarter is exclusively an all or nothing funding platform. This essentially means that on Kickstarter, if you are trying to raise £10,000, and that's your target, £10,000, and you raise £9,999, you do not keep any of the money. None of that money ever goes out of the backers' accounts. So you have to hit your target or you keep nothing. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, then I'm not going to go with Kickstarter. But that is the reason why the Kickstarter's conversion rates or the success rates are so much higher than any other crowdfunding platform. I'm not sure how up to date this is, but a couple of years ago, it was 25% versus, for filmmakers, under 5% or even under 1% on some other crowdfunding platforms. And the reason for that is it creates a sense of urgency and credibility. So if you're on Kickstarter and you've just launched your campaign and you ask me to support it and I give you £50, I can very, very happily give you that £50. And I know that unless you raise the full target to make the film exactly the way you promised it, that money will never even leave my bank account. On the other hand, if you're on Indiegogo and you've got a flexible funding model, which means you can keep no matter how much you raise. If I give you £50 and you do not get any other funding after that, you still get to keep my £50. So with Kickstarter, you will have a lot more people supporting you at the start who will know that, okay, I'm happy to give you the money because I have this insurance that you have to raise the full amount. Also, if you're on Indiegogo with a flexible funding model and you're trying to raise £10,000 and you're 2 days away from the end of your crowdfunding campaign and you've raised 8,000, you, your team, your backers will go, you know what, we did pretty well. On Kickstarter, you have to raise the 10K, so you do, because your backers can increase their pledges. Your team will be super motivated to continue promoting the campaign, and that will create a massive, massive sense of urgency. And urgency is absolutely crucial when it comes to crowdfunding. So my favorite crowdfunding platform is definitely Kickstarter. If this all or nothing funding model really, really scares you, the next one that I would recommend normally is Indiegogo. It's the second sort of biggest one for filmmakers. And then there's two other that are filmmaker specific. One is called greenlit.com and one is called Seed and Spark. Greenlit is based in the UK, Seed and Spark is based in the US. And that's because they all have certain features that other crowdfunding platforms don't have. For example, on Greenlit, you can do a soft launch, which means before you officially launch your crowdfunding campaign, you can do a soft launch where no one will see that crowdfunding campaign except for a couple of people who you send the link to. That way, you can get a couple of really close supporters who give you a certain amount of money, and you wait until you get to, say, 10% funded before you launch your campaign. That way, when you launch your campaign, you're not going to be at £0 funded, which, by the way, really, really sucks. Even if it's just for a few minutes that you're at £0 funded, it's like, oh my God, my campaign is failing. So that way on Greenlit, you can actually launch your campaign and be 10% funded right away, make the campaign look really, really successful so that more people support it. And Seed and Spark also has some really, really great things for filmmakers. So those are generally the four that I would recommend, but it really depends on your specific project. Okay. Another one, how much information should be given out in crowdfunding without risking losing someone else taking the idea away? So this is actually a common question that we get as well. I would say, you have to tell people what the film is about. You don't want to spoil the film and give away the ending. You don't need to put the script anywhere or give the entire, script away. But you do need to give the concept. You need to give, this is what the film is going to be about. This is why it's unique. You have to actually tell in that crowdfunding campaign the piece of gold that makes your film unique, because that's what's going to convince all the backers to support it. Now, I think that the thing that calms people down the most is that very, very few people will go on Indiegogo and try and steal someone's idea, because filmmaking is so insanely difficult, and so, and people are so kind of passionate about their own projects, that if you're going to embark on this journey of making your own film, you're doing that because you love your own idea. I honestly have not really met people who go, I'm going to steal this person's short film idea and I'm going to make it myself. And even if they do, the final product is going to be so drastically different from what you are trying to make that you probably wouldn't even recognize it. So I think in most cases, you're probably safe, unless you're making a huge blockbuster film, in which case you're probably not crowdfunding it. So for short films, it's quite rare to see people like really flat out steal someone's idea and make the exact film that they're making. But again, if you're not giving away a whole script or anything like that, they're likely to change it so much, even if they take something from your film, that you wouldn't even recognize it. So in that sense, I would say to not worry about it too much, but definitely don't give away full scripts, full kind of things around your film. It's just the glimpses and the snippets that make your film unique, and that will really, really excite people to find out more. And the other reason behind that is curiosity. You want to leave something to people to be curious about. You don't want to tell them everything about the film. You want there to be a lot of little, hidden things so that people go, oh my God, I really want to see what happens to this character, or how they resolve this problem, or how they film this. So there's a lot of things that are better left as secrets, but you do need to definitely, give quite a lot of information about how your film is going to be unique. Okay, next. What's the best way to crowdfund for multiple unrelated projects with the same crew cast members? Any specific ways to engage strangers through crowdfunding and increase traffic? So just a couple of quick things on that. First one, I would never recommend running more than one crowdfunding campaign at the same time. Crowdfunding, you really need to pull all of your resources into one specific crowdfunding campaign, and you want to run that crowdfunding campaign. Next, if you have the same crew and cast members for that project, I would definitely make sure that you finish one of the projects first before crowdfunding for another one. And the reason for that is, one of the best ways to get more backers for your crowdfunding campaign is to have a previous successful campaign with happy backers. And happy backers are happy because you've delivered on what you promised. You delivered their rewards, you delivered their, the links to their film, you delivered their, their tickets for the premiere, and so on. And those people will be more than happy to support your next film, because the first time they're thinking, is this film even going to get made? Do I want to support this film? And how much do I want to give? The second time you're running the crowdfunding campaign and asking the same people, they only have 2 of those questions left. They know you're going to make the film. Now it's just, how much should I give? And do I, can I support this campaign? So in that sense, I would, definitely do it kind of staggered. Do one project at a time, finish that project, deliver the rewards, and do another one, to be able to get as much as you possibly can out of your network. Because the other thing is, and I think I've seen someone saying that they really don't like engaging with their personal network for crowdfunding. You will never get a stranger to give you money when you're at £0 funded, a complete strangers. You need to get to at least 10, 20% funded for your crowdfunding campaign before you can even start to engage strangers. Because when you're at £0 funded, the campaign is not going to be seen by anyone on the platform, because Kickstarter and Indiegogo and so on will not be recommending it to people. If you send cold traffic to that campaign of people you've never met, they'll see £0 funded and right away go, why is it £0 funded? I'm not going to support this campaign. So you have to get to at least 10, 20% funded for your personal network. But that said, again, specific ways to engage with strangers is to have really, really great rewards that will attract people. And then depending on what those rewards are, there are various different marketing strategies to try and get to those people who would be interested in those rewards. But the key there is definitely with the rewards. Okay. Any other questions? Do let me know if you guys have anything else. Happy to to answer anything else. But like I said, I've seen that a couple of people have booked the coaching call that's on the screen already. So thank you to everyone who has done that. Again, for everyone else who's looking to crowdfund the film, again, this is a very commitment-free kind of call. If nothing else, I really love to talk to other people who are looking to crowdfund. So this call is really for me to find out a little bit more about your project. Perhaps help you with a little bit of the initial kind of high-level strategy, and mainly to see, if you would be a good fit for the coaching package, or one of our 3 different coaching packages. And as I mentioned before, really, really no hard sell on this call. It's just a way for us to get to know each other and see if it would be beneficial for us to work together. And for full disclosure, we actually charge a much smaller upfront fee and a percentage of what you end up raising, because we really believe in the fact that through our coaching, you will be able to raise more. And that's why, we're almost a little bit getting a fee from the performance that we give to you guys to help you raise more. So that sense, we want to make sure that you guys are also serious about crowdfunding, and that this can work really well both ways. Okay, we've got another question over here. What about crowdfunding for films that don't have a very emotional, deep premise? What kind of real stories could you use for a light-hearted comedy, for example? So I'll give you guys another two examples. I mean, one is, just imagine you're making a film about, I don't know, like a Jackie Chan type film, or an action film. You might have a story of why you really, really want to make that specific film, while that resonates with you. It could be that you used to watch films like that with your dad when you were younger, and that made you really, really love this type of film and always want to make this specific kind of film, even though perhaps it's not really commercially viable anymore, which is why you're crowdfunding, right? So you can build in that emotional story. Second one, let me give you guys an example of a comedy web series about tour guides. So these two actors came to me once and they said, we want to crowdfund a web series about tour guides. And they started telling me, they said, it's going to be hilarious. They were both comedians as well. They said, it's going to be absolutely hilarious. We are going to be, we're going to be, they told me about all the different characters and the storylines and the romance there as well, and so on. And I was like, guys, I'm bored. Tell me a real story. And they said, okay, you know what? I was like, tell me why you want to make this film. How did you come up with this idea? And they said, well, we used to be tour guides actually in London. And one of them said, I'll tell you the story of actually when I first thought we should make a web series about this. And she said, it was my first day after I passed my training when I was actually, had my own bus, like tour guide bus through London. And I was the head person who was giving the tour. And she said, it was a Saturday, it was super packed. I got on the bus. There was, it was completely packed. It was during the summer as well. We started driving around London, started talking about all the different monuments. People were asking me questions. I knew all the answers. I felt absolutely great. And things were going fantastic until this kid started to piss out the window. And the mom was sitting next to the kid. She could see that he was pissing out the window and she wasn't saying anything. And I was standing in the front of the bus with a mic going, what the hell do I do in this situation? And that was the first day of a crazy, crazy journey where for 3 years I realized how insane it is to be a tour guide in London, and which is why we wanted to make a web series about it. And again, this story, if it was fake, probably wouldn't have even been that funny. We've seen it a million times, but it was real, and that's what made it funny. So try and think of the real story around your film. One other thing. The why of why you're making this film, when it's crowdfunding and you're asking a lot of people for money for your film, you need to have a strong why. And you need to dig deep down and almost be like a little internal therapist figuring out what made you make this film. But there has to be a strong why. So if you can't think of a particular reason why this story, why this, there is a lot of filmmakers out there, and I'm not saying that's you, but there are a lot of filmmakers out there who just want to make a film. No one's going to give you money for that. You can shoot that with some friends. But if you are just trying to make a film, like any short film, I just want to make a cool short film this summer, that's not a good enough reason to crowdfund. You need to have a really, really specific why, your origin story of why you're making that film. Because that's the only place where you can then ask someone to actually give you money for that film. So try and dig deep down. Again, if you're even making a comedy, why are you making a comedy on this topic? What's made you really, really passionate about this? There was this great crowdfunding pitch video, which was basically this was in 2015, in the very, very early days of crowdfunding, where the director, the pitch video opened up with a really, really romantic scene where, two people, meet each other and they fall in love. And suddenly the director comes on screen and throws up all over them. And she says, if you hate these unrealistic romantic films, then you will absolutely love the film that I am making. This film is going to be nothing like that. It is going to be a real comedy showing real people in real situations. And that was her why. The why was, I want to make a film that's completely different to those because I hate these romantic comedies that are completely unrealistic. So just dig deep down and figure out what is that specific why. Any advice once rewards and 20% funding are established about getting them to see and notice the crowdfunding page? Is there always social media? And do you have any specific social media tips to engage the public in crowdfunding? So I actually have a marketing background, so I could go on for hours about the various different algorithms and strategies when it comes to social media promotion. In essence, social media is a huge part of it, 100%. But also try in-person, events, networking events. If you go to filmmaker networking events, or say you've got a headshot package that you're selling, go to some events with actors. But yeah, 100% social media is also massively, massively important. And again, there are just so many different small strategies and things to consider, but they're so project specific. I can't really give like a blanket answer on how to be great on social media, because it just all really, really depends on your specific project. But the key on most crowdfunding platforms is to have high engagement. You need to create content that's going to have really, really high engagement. The higher your engagement, the more likes, comments, etc. you get, the more people will see that content. So that's really the key around social media. And again, I know that's quite a broad answer, but depending on your projects and specifics and so on, this is actually part of things that we go through in our coaching, which is specifically how do you leverage social media in order to get your campaign seen by as many people as possible. Okay, guys, fantastic. Well, thank you to everyone that's stuck around all until the end. Again, thank you so much for listening. I hope that you all found this useful. Again, for anyone interested in the coaching calls, you've got the QR code, and I'm going to give you guys the link here in the chat once again. For everyone else who don't know anything about CineCircle, come check us out. We do a variety of different webinars, talks. We have a global film funding conference, which is a 3-day free event happening at the beginning of August as well. So I'd love to see some of you guys there. But aside from that, if you're in Europe, have a nice evening. If you're in the US, have a fun and great rest of your day. And I hope that you all enjoyed this webinar. So thank you so much and take care.